Hello, welcome. My name is Isaac Christopher Lubogo, and today I know is the beginning of 2023, but it's also the beginning of what we're launching, what we call "Let's Think Out of the Box and Throw the Box Away." So I want to share with you some of the nuggets, what we call the blueprint of survival, the survival in terms of 2023 that will give you the momentum, the dunamis, the hyper super dunamis power to excel and to go an extra mile in whatever you do. Listen, Dr. King one time said that he who starts behind in the race must forever remain behind. I'm reading from my book, by the way. Twitter is to my learned friend, The Attorney at Law, which you can easily find on Lubogo or suegeneslawup.com. And he says that most men, he says that if he who starts behind in the race must forever remain behind or run faster than the man in front. And then he also quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson in a lecture in 1871, and he said, if a man can write a better book or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if they build a house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to their door. What does that speak to you? It means that whatever task that lays in your hands, do it to the best of your ability. Listen, Dr. King used to say, you may not be the pine on top of a hill, but be the shrub in the valley, but be the best side of the shrub on the side of the hill. Okay, remember, so whatever task that is in you, do it to the best of ability. This doesn't mean that you're not going to fail. You may try it on and on and on, but the idea is to be resilient, to have the tenacity not to give up, because the decision to give up is not by you, but by Almighty God. So if God has decided that you're going to win, and that's what His word says, He says, I prefer above all things that you may prosper in spirit, but also in truth, and even as your body prospers. That is the desire of God. Listen, I'm going to read for you something still from my book that my friend Dr. Of course, the Honorable was honored to be a Dr. Nelson Mandela said, during my lifetime, I have dedicated myself to the struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination and black domination, and have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society for which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It's an ideal which I hope to live for and achieve. But if need be, it's an ideal from which I am prepared to die. Listen, if you don't have the tenacity and the will to say, I'm willing to sacrifice my life, even at the point of death, you may not achieve your goal. Sometimes it may call you to be at that level. Listen, Dr. King's wife, Coretta Scott King, was quoting Dr. King one time when Dr. King gave this sermon called A Man Who Was a Fool. And he said, all men are caught in what they call an inescapable network of mutuality, in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one affects the other. And in other words, I cannot be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. In other words, our lives are inextricably bound. We are together, we live together in more like an ecosystem. That reminds me of my book called Ubuntu Bulamandelo. So you must be careful that even as you strive, you may have to rely on your brethren or your friends in terms of impetus, in terms of motivation, not solely, because the scriptures are very clear, by the way, that cursed is he who puts his trust in man, but the idea also, the scripture interprets scripture and says, do not give up the habit of meeting together, because it's like the oil that flows even upon Aaron's beard. So impetus can be got from motivation in terms of your interaction with good people, people who will motivate you in the right direction. Okay, let me read for you something else again from my book, The Attorney at Law. Adolf Hitler realized the soft-mindedness among his people and his flaws, and he said that I use emotions for the few, for the many, and I reserve reason for the few. I use emotion for the many and reserve reason for the few. Listen, Adolf Hitler one time was able to take the whole world on a swim. He told them that, listen, people hate Germany because most Germans have blue eyes. Guess what? Adolf himself actually had black eyes. You know what I'm talking about. In Mein Kampf, he actually said it, by means of shrewd lies and repeatedly repeated, it is possible to make people believe that heaven is hell and hell is heaven. The greater the lie, the more readily the people will believe it. So it gives you this impetus of trying to test everything. Like Socrates used to say, why, where, who, and how. If you don't have that ability, then you're going to find yourself in problem. Longfellow once said that a man in this world is either an anvil or a hammer, meaning that he is either a mold of society or is molded by society. And I think he also said that, give me the right prop and the right lever, and I'll single-handedly turn the world sure that must have been Archimedes who said that. Listen, Thomas Jefferson wrote that I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny, especially the tyranny of the mind. So my discourse to you is to awaken your righteous mind so that you learn to think outside the box, and guess what? To throw the box away. Remember, what it means to be human is to try to live by ideals and ideas, not to measure your life in terms of what you've attained, in terms of your desires, but these small little moments like integrity, compassion, rationality, and even self-sacrifice. Because in the end, the only way we can measure the significance of our own lives is by valuing the lives of others. In other words, whatever faith binds us, you should be considerate of your brother or your sister. Listen, William Cullen Bryant one time said, truth crushed to earth will rise again. And then Thomas Kyle wrote, no lie can live for so long, but it will come back within a short circulation like a bill drawn on nature's reality and present there itself for payment. In other words, saying no effect. Remember, a lie may travel almost half across the world before the truth puts on their shoes. But guess what? The truth will live there many days, will arrive there many days before the lie does so. Listen to what your friend Jeff Kennedy said. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. So my challenge is, what can you do for Uganda? What can you do for your people? What can you do for your tribe? What can you do for your community? Remember that. So let me also end by talking about a gentleman, Dr. Warren, who was one time giving a sermon, and he said that in everything that we do, we should be mindful that people, the next generation who's going to come after us, are depending upon us. If we do less, we betray the memory of those who have given so much, okay? And therefore we become more like, we actually sabotage the blessings or even the destiny of those who are going to come after us. God has given us a temporary custody of whatever profession you're doing. So you are supposed to do it in such a way that you do it to the best of your ability. If it falls your lot, like Dr. King used to say, to be a street sweeper, strip the street so well, like Raphael carved marble, or like Shakespeare wrote poetry, or even like Messi plays football, or like Mbappe plays football. Do your job so well that the dead, the living, and the unborn cannot do it any better. Brethren, let's think outside the box and throw the box away. God bless you.